it, I think.
Yeah. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Cool. So the topic of this session was JIT basics and CI/CD. Basically, JIT basics is somewhat misleading because we will not dive into the basic commands because everybody of uh, all innovate know how exactly the JIT commands work. How do we? Because it's our day-to-day activity, right? So we'll delve into some of the commands which are very important, but it's not being used by 90% of the developers. Okay, so I'll divide this session into two parts. So the first session, the first half would be explanation of some of the commands which are very useful but are not being used, and the second part would be how exactly we can configure the CI/CD of any particular project. Okay, so and yeah, like I'll show you one presentation. Like this presentation was done in 2014 by me and Datta. So I think you can refer this. I've put a link of this presentation in the links section over here. So I'll share this presentation with you guys. So it also has all the resources that I will be using in this demo. Okay, and in this particular session, yeah, more focus will be on the demo rather than the explanation. Okay, so that you guys have hands-on experience and you can implement it. Okay, so whatever I'll be performing, whatever I'll be doing, I'll be sharing with you guys. I'll share the repo with all with you guys so that you can try it out on your own as well. Okay, so I've shared this presentation with you, which are basic JIT commands which we need to use in day-to-day life. Okay, but today what we'll be talking about is some of the commands which major developers do not use. Okay, so let's start with a short explanation of why we are using GitLab and Enovate. Like we have a lot of options, like we have GitHub, we have Bitbucket, but why only GitLab that we are using at Enovate? Okay, so first and foremost is security. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, you can stop me in between and ask then and there itself, because it's an interactive session. Because if we lose the link, we'll not be able to catch up again. Okay.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, security. Like when we started like 10-12 years back to use JIT, like before JIT there were other source version control systems where like SVN, CVS. But when we started using JIT, we explored a lot of systems. GitHub was very new at that time. Bitbucket was new. It had some of the issues. But GitLab was such a tool which had been robust since the beginning. Okay, so we had explored a bit, and we created some projects on GitLab, and it was very smooth to work with GitLab. Security wise, it had like it was first one of the tools which gave us a private repo. In GitHub, private repo, public repo started recently, like few years back, but GitLab provided this feature since the beginning. And seeing GitHub also started giving private repos. So whatever you hosted on GitHub initially was always public. Okay, but when GitLab started, it gave private repos, and that's why everybody is switching to GitLab, because it provides a lot of security, privatization, and a lot of robust features which were very rare in the initial versions of other version control systems. Okay, so yeah, security was the prime factor that we chose GitLab. Then scalability. Now, scalability in the sense, like when as a company we are using one GitLab tool wherein most of our source code lies, like I think 99% of our source code lies on GitLab, right? So scalability was a very important factor because we needed to have multiple repos for one particular project. We needed to have access from one repo to another repo. We needed to initiate pipelines from one repo, which could trigger another pipeline in another repo. So all these things were very easy with GitLab. Okay, so do you know, guys, how many repos do we have at Innovate? I'll show you. Okay, so this is Innovate, gitlab.com/innovate, and we have access to 692 repos. So we are single-handedly managing so many repos. We are also doing a regular backup. Like every week, we have backup of all the protected branches of each and every repo. Also, we have a database of which user is using which repo, how many times he did the commits. So we have all the information. So if we go over here, I'll show you where exactly we have the code backup. So here, every weekend, there is a job which runs, which uploads all our repos to a secured place on Google Drive. And here we have information about all the users as well, like which user is using which repo, when did he access it. So whenever we need to disable the access of any particular user at any particular given time, we can do it then and there itself within a fraction of a second by clicking one of the buttons that we have. We have scripts ready which will disable the access. So it is so good. It has extensive functionalities, and that's why we are using GitLab. Of course, AI powered workflows. Now every tool or everything that we are using right now has AI in it. Community support is good. So if there are any issues in setting up, so now, yeah, we have two different versions of GitLab. So one that we are using, which is like the GitLab is hosted on a cloud, and we are using the cloud services of GitLab. But you can also hire another server, install GitLab on that server, and which will be like not accessible to everyone. It will be only available in the intranet, and it will be away from the internet, so nobody can access it. Only the people who has access to it can access that GitLab. So community support is great over there. Like if we want any help during the setup or after the setup, if we are facing any issues in the pipelines or the workflows, like how exactly a new user would log in and how the repos will be set up, who has access, who does not have access, everything can be managed from this community support. They have all the help available. Reliable uptime. Since we started using GitLab, I remember only like twice or thrice I faced an issue, like when the site was down. Right. So that is how reliable uptime GitLab has. Extensive CLI support. So I've put up a link over here, how you can use GitLab APIs over here. So whatever things that we have done over here in Innovate, so having like backing up the entire system, all the repositories that we have, it has been done with the help of the CLI. The user accesses, the statistics that we get from GitLab. We have done everything using CLI support or the APIs that we have access to from GitLab. So GitLab provides very useful APIs. One-click backup that I just showed to you guys. Embedded issue handling. Now, this is the feature that I like the most in GitLab. So what we guys understand is like GitLab is just used for version control, putting up our code over there, collaborating with other users. But the feature that I wanted to show you guys is this: issues. Each and every repo, like even if you currently go to your any repository that you have access to, and there will be an issues menu over here. So what you can do with issues is you can create new issues, and you can track those issues, share it with your team. Everybody in your team has access to this issue. You can write the description and everything, and you can set a milestone. So we don't actually need Jira if we are using this particular tool. For example, let's say initially we did not have Jira when we started on. So we were not using this, but it was a very good alternative to Jira. Okay. Why this is so good? Because let's say if we are using issues over here, if I go to issue boards, okay, so if let's say if I have an issue board, so what I have done over here is I've created a Kanban type of structure over here. So let's say if I have an issue, I think backlog. Yes. So let's say if I have an issue which is open, okay, so somebody from the team like creates an issue that, okay, this is an issue. I work on it, okay, then I update the details over here. And once I'm done with it, I'll just push it over here. It will be in the prioritized section. Then it will be in progress. Okay, according to the priority, I can set where exactly this particular thing should be visible. Then I can pick it up and put it to deploy to dev when anything is deployed to dev. So whenever any tester is signing up, whenever any tester is coming in, he or she does not need to connect with any of the developers. If there are issues over here, okay, deployed to dev, then the tester knows that, okay, I need to test if it is deployed to dev, and then the tester will move that to production, like, okay, ready for production. So whatever this, these are the things that you can create on your own, and this issue handling thing is really good. Another important feature in issue handling is if you say, let's click on this particular issue, and then you made some code changes for this issue, then you are committing it, you can directly create a merge request from this issue. Why this is important is, like, let's say if I fixed something, and then after 2-3 weeks I want to see that, okay, for this particular issue, what was the fix that I did. So what I'll do is I'll just go to this issue, I'll see which merge request was linked to this issue, and I can directly check, okay, this is the change that I had made. Okay, so according to the developer's perspective, from the tester's perspective, this issue handling thing which GitLab provides is really good. The paid version has much more features than this. Okay, but it's now on you guys to explore how exactly it can be used and how you can develop on this. Okay, so this were basic GitLab features and why exactly we're using GitLab at Enovate. Okay, quickly moving on, like, guys, this session might be a bit long. So like, let's say if we could not complete the entire session here, we can switch CI/CD to another day or another session, but I think we should be able to finish. Let's try to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, apart from the basic commands, here I'll explain to you some of the commands. Like, these 3-4 commands are so good that people rarely use them, but how useful they are, I'll just show you. So let's directly jump to the demo. Okay, so I created this particular repository yesterday just for the demo purpose. Okay, I have pasted the link to this demo in the presentation. You will get the presentation link. Okay, so what I have over here is I created a few files: first file, second file, third file, fourth file, fifth file. Okay, and then I have put some text into it. Okay, we'll come to this demo and CI/CD afterwards, but let's concentrate on these 4-5 files first. Okay, so now the first command that we are looking into is git reset. So how does reset work? Like, some of you might be knowing how git reset works, but for others, this is really good. Like 90% of them I have seen in Innovate that they do not know this. I'll show you how exactly it is done. Okay. So first command is git log. What does it show? Git log shows what are the git commits and what files were put into that commit. Okay. So this particular command is really helpful. Like, there's an alternative UI alternative to this, which is this. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if, let's say, git reset. Okay. Let's say I'm a developer. Okay. I think you guys are not. Is the text visible, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make it a bit bigger.
Yes, but little bit bigger will be
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. I've made a change in, let's say, one of the files. Let's say first file.txt. Okay, so I just made this file. Okay, and okay, so this is the first change that I made. It will be visible over here. I commit this change, added a line in first file. Okay, I committed this and I pushed. Okay, so this is the first file that I have created. This is just git repo. Demo. Okay, now, so this is one commit that I did. Let's say I put another commit in the second file. This is line E. I save it. I commit it. Edit it. Second file. Okay, then I again edit a third file. So basically what I'm trying to show you guys is, let's say I made some changes in third file. Okay, and then I commit this one as well. Third file change. Now if you see the tree, until this particular line, everything is pushed to the main or pushed to the remote. Okay, now these two are the commits which I have created and which are only there in the local repository. It's not yet pushed. Okay, now what will happen is, let's say some there is an issue and I want to revert the commit. So what most of the developers do, they'll make the change, they'll remove whatever they have done, and then they'll create another commit and put up one more commit on top of this, right? We don't need to do that. What we need to do is, if we do git reset and then pick up the commit id of where we want to reset this branch to. So let's say we want to skip these two commits, the third file change and the edited second file, but this one is the one where I want to take my tree back. Okay, so what I'll do is git reset this one. So this is the soft reset. I'll tell you what is a hard reset as well. So if I just run this command, both the commits are gone now and both the files are now back to the editing stage. Okay, you can see it over here. So like this is a very good command where you can revert your commits. Like most of the people do not know that you can revert your commits as well, right? Reverting a commit directly is another thing. Like reverting a commit is creating one more commit on top of this thing, on top of this particular tip of this branch, but it's not revert. This is a reset. Reset will pull back the commits that you have done. Okay, so whenever, remember this in future, whenever you do not want commits to go into the remote repository, just do a git reset and all your changes will be back here. Okay, now if you do not want these two files over here, like you do not want the changes as well, so if you do just do git reset and dash dash hard like this, it will remove the changes that you have put in these two files as well. Okay, but use it very carefully. I'll show you another issue. Okay, so let's say you have made changes to this file and you create one more file, let's say fifth file. So this is the text on the sixth file. Okay, and I gave it a name as sixth.txt. Save. Okay, so now the user, now let's say I am a user. My username over here is Ronak. Okay, I clone this repo. Okay, and then I use this repo as I've already set up this, and I use this repo as Tony Stark. Okay, now Tony Stark also has a file named sixth.txt. Okay, so what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to show you guys uh, whenever there is an issue, like whenever there are a lot of issues in your JIT, what should I say? Like let's say whenever you encounter an issue where you it's hard to merge the commits, whenever there is a divergent branches. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to create that scenario so that you guys understand how exactly it can be handled. Okay, because most of the issues that we get, like people come to their seniors or their colleagues, let's say that I have messed up this branch, I just want to straighten up the code that I have, I don't want to lose the code, how can I come out of this, right? So this is an issue which most of the developers struggle with. So I'll just trying to recreate that issue. So what I'm trying to do over here is Tony Stark is creating a file six.txt. Okay, this is the file created by Tony Stark. Okay, and he has pushed. Okay,
Mm.
now I get this. It was rejected because there were problems. So what did I do wrong over here? I need to first pull whatever is there on the remote repository. I just need to pull first. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just merge. So now it is successful. Whatever changes are there on the remote are now here. Okay, so whatever changes I had made on the first file, now I can see it over here, and then I can push my changes to this repository. So now if you see what is seen on the main branch, okay, what is seen on the main branch is sixth file by Tony, right? And you can see that here I have sixth file already available by Tony. Okay, now I am also making a change. I have not pushed my changes to this branch, right? But I also have a sixth.txt. So
Mm.
what will happen? I am not aware currently that Tony has already pushed this, right? Only when I'll pull this, I'll know this. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll try to commit this, and then I'll get an issue. Okay. Now I'm getting a reject. Why? Because I have not pulled it again. Let's try git pull. Okay. The same thing I'll repeat. Git pull rebase false, and then again git pull. Okay, now this actually created an issue, and then I got a lot of conflicts here, that because there was a file from Tony Stark with the same name. Okay, and then there was a file that I committed, which is this is the text in the sixth file. Now let's say this file has a lot of changes and I do not know what exactly I need to do over here, right? And then I fear that, okay, now I'll lose all my code. Now the code is messed up. How can I save my work? Okay, so guys, just concentrate over here that whatever changes that you are doing, okay, whatever changes that you have over here, it's just on your local. Okay, it has not yet been pushed to the remote. So there is always a chance that you can recover your code back. Okay, and this is where git reset helps us. So first of all, what should be our motive? Our motive is to save our branch. Okay, whatever work that we have done is to save our branch, because we are also working on the main branch. Okay, so let's say if I want to save my work, what will I do? I'll do git checkout minus b save me. Okay, now what has happened is whatever work that I have done, it is safe. It is safe in the save me branch. Okay, now if anything is messed up on the main branch, it will be messed up on my local system. My code is not gone, my code is safe in the save me branch, and then I can play with the main branch on my local and check if I can do the merge properly. Okay, so what I'll do is I created this save me, and then I'll just push git uh, push this save me branch so that I'm safe that okay, save me has all my code available. So if you see here, okay, save me has only my changes. It does not have any changes from Tony. Okay, I know you guys might be a bit like, if you guys watch this video again, you will get a clear idea what exactly I'm trying to do over here. What I'm trying to portray over here is how can you just save your work in case there is any mishap that has happened.
Yeah.
Now, as we are safe that okay, my code is now okay, there is nothing to do with my code. Now I'll go ahead and try to repair my branch. Okay, now let's say I go back to main. Now this particular thing is messed up. I want to repair. I don't want any changes from Tony. First of all, I want to just reset my branch to this fourth commit. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll copy the commit ID and I'll just do git reset hard to this commit, and everything will be gone, and all my files will be here and save me. Okay, back to main. Okay, so now save me was particular. Just a minute. Okay, this is what I wanted to create. Now it says that your branch origin main and main have diverged. Okay, now I am back into main branch. This is the error which we have encountered n number of times, and people don't have any escape out of this, right? So now I'll show you where reset helps us. Okay, so now it is saying that main is here and it has diverged. So now I do not know how exactly I need to handle this. So here, if I just do git reset hard to this commit ID, now my main is over here and it is clean. Okay, these are all the changes that I want to accept or not. Now it depends on me, but my main branch that I have right now is clean. Okay, this is how you can come out of any particular issue. Okay, now if what I want to do is I just want to take my changes from the save me branch. So you will just do git merge save me, and you will get all your changes into the main branch, and then you pull the changes from the Tony's branch, and then you can merge it safely. So this is how you can use the reset command. Use reset soft as well, use reset hard as well, so that you can check all the changes that you are getting from the remote, and then solve the conflicts, and then push your code by combining all those files. Okay, so this was the git reset command. I'll move on to the second command. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me right now. Okay, we'll move on to git squash. Now let's move to cool. Okay, now I am, let's say, at the head of this particular branch. I create another branch, git checkout minus b squash demo. Okay, so what people do over here is, let's say I am doing my first file change. This is line 9. Okay, then I do a git push. I push my changes to squash demo. Then I again do another change in the, let's say, fifth.txt. Okay, so now what I did is I made two commits. Okay, I made two commits and pushed it to my squash demo. Okay, so let's say this is your feature branch. So you developed your feature, and then you are like, I just made two commits, but in your branch you might create like 10 commits or 15 commits just in developing that feature, right? But when you want, like, when you are pushing your changes to the main branch, you don't want those many commits, right? You just want that one commit, that okay, this is my feature branch and this is the one commit that it should be merged with the main branch. So how should I handle this? So what I'll do is I git commit main, git checkout main. I'll move to my main branch. Okay, now if I do git merge and then squash demo, what it will do is it will take those two commits and put it on top of the main branch, correct? But I don't want those two commits. I just want one commit, and that should come at the top of the master branch. I'll just add one thing over here, which is called squash, and see what magic it does. Okay, it just created one commit. It added both this changes in both these files. So if you remember, first file had a separate commit, fifth file had a separate commit. But when I use this squash, it squashed all those commits into one commit and then merged into the main branch. So this again is a very useful command, because when you actually see the main branch and some feature branch has been added to it, sometimes I see so many commits from the feature branch which are not even required. That is only for the developers to see that okay, they incrementally commit their changes so that they do not lose those changes. But it is not required in the main, right? So this is a very efficient command wherein you don't want to have all those commits in the main branch. Okay, so this is how you can do squashing. There are other squashing mechanisms which you can use with git rebase also. So let's say if you don't want to squash all the commits, like let's say out of those 5 commits that you want to push to the main branch, you want to squash only 3 commits. So that also is possible using git rebase minus I, and then putting the commit ID, and then you will get an interactive session on squashing. I'll just show you this. I'll not go through the entire thing, but I'll just show you how exactly it appears. So this is how it appears. Okay, now there are 4 commits. Okay, what I put it the commit ID of this particular commit. Now on top of this there are 4 commits. I don't want this. So what I'll do is I'll just put squash over here. I'll put squash over here. So what it will do is it will squash these two commits. I won't see that commit in my main branch. I will see only this commit and this commit. That's it. So squashing is so useful, and it should be used all the time. Like whenever we are pushing our changes to the main branch, we should very carefully use this, and it will help a lot. Okay, git cherry pick. So cherry pick is a command wherein, let's say again, I'll just explain this. I'll not go through the entire demo, but I'll just explain this what you can do with git cherry pick. Git cherry pick is, let's say again, if I have two commits in another branch, I have this main branch, I have another branch called squash demo. Okay, in that squash demo I have three commits. Okay, let's say I made changes in file 1, file 2, file 3. Okay, now the first commit in the squash demo is file 1, second commit in the squash demo is file 2, and the third commit in the squash demo is file 3. In my main branch, I don't want all the three commits. Okay, I don't want even the code that is there in the three commits. I just want one commit which is in the second file, and only the code changes related to the second file. Okay, how I can do this? Using git cherry pick. So when you use this command git cherry pick and provide the commit id from another branch, so I'm on the main branch, I just type in git cherry pick and then use a commit id from the squash demo. Only that commits changes I will get in my main branch. So this command is very useful. Like it's an advanced command, but it's very useful when you want only specific changes, when you encounter any bugs in your code. All those things can be easily handled using git cherry pick. Okay, so this is git cherry pick, and then we have git bisect. Git bisect is a very advanced command wherein it uses a tree algorithm, binary search algorithm, to find which commit was buggy commit. Okay, so I'll not go through this particular command. Let's take this as homework so that you guys explore this. But it's a very good command. So let's say there are, as I mentioned, like let's say there is a repo which is being used by hundreds of developers, right? And then if during the nightly build, if there is an issue, how to identify which commit caused this issue, right? So this is where git bisect helps us. It will do a binary search algorithm on the commits, and then we identify those commits, that this is a good commit or this is a bad commit. And then after that we can identify that okay, this is was the commit which caused an issue, and we can solve this issue. Okay, so I hope these commands are I tried my best to show how exactly this can be useful. But if you have any questions after, even after the session, you can come to me, I'll explain you again. Okay, but start using these commands. Like these 2 3 commands are so useful, and everybody should be using it. Okay, let's move on to CI/CD now. Okay, guys, any questions till now? I
No.
assume. Okay, good. Okay, CI/CD. Okay, so let's say what is CI/CD. CI/CD is a process wherein, like initially, what we used to do is like we used to develop the code and then compile it and then push those code changes to the server, and then used to, like, again we used to follow the same things on the server to make it working, right? So there was a, like, two types of things which we needed to do, like maintenance of the server as well, and then maintaining the code on the local as well. Okay, so this was like double work for all the developers. In order to solve this, we use continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? In order to test it out. So it is a very useful tool which GitLab provides. How do we actually implement this? It's so simple. I'll show you using this. So in this repo, I just created one file called demo.html. Okay, what does it do? It just displays an HTML page with Innovate demo. Okay, what I did is I created a small micro instance. Okay, I created JIT demo here. So this is a micro server that I created yesterday just for the demo purposes. So now this is my server. This server is live here. Okay, and currently it is displaying. Okay, there's engines over there. And if I do demo.html, currently it's showing Innovate demo 2. Okay, so this is my server. Now I want to set up a CI/CD pipeline wherein whenever I make a change to this file and I push my particular file to the repo, okay, it should directly go deploy itself to the server and start hosting. Okay, you won't imagine, guys, this is the only code that does this. And this particular code here, this one, is just for SSH access. The only two lines that are important are these two lines, and this is the entire CI/CD thing that does the deployment of the file to the server. Now I'll show you how exactly we are doing this. Okay, so first and foremost is gitlab-ci.yml. How whenever we commit a particular repository, okay, how does GitLab know that, okay, I need to run the pipeline? Okay, so it is this file that they need to identify that, okay, this particular repo has a pipeline and it needs to run. So whenever we commit something to GitLab, it checks that does the repo have this file. If it has this file, then it starts running the scripts inside that file. Okay, so this is how GitLab identifies. Now how do we design this file? Okay, so let's say currently what are stages? Okay, now we can have multiple stages in our deployment. So first of all, when we deploy something, okay, when we commit something to our repository, we need to build that file. Okay, so these stages are something that we can define. We need to build, then we need to deploy. Let's say we have only deployment over here that we need to do, because we don't need to build anything over here, because this is an HTML file. We need to just copy as it is to the server. So let's say it just has one stage. Okay, if there are like we can also add test stage as well. So whenever we are pushing something to the repository, we can do a test over here, and then we can execute this CI/CD pipeline, so that even if there is any error in test, it will stop the deployment, it will not move forward, and we don't push any buggy code to the server. Okay, so I've just kept it very simple. I just have one stage over here which I call it as deploy. I can give it any name. Okay, it need not be any particular name. I can just give it deploy ABC or deploy A123, anything. So GitLab knows that, okay, this particular pipeline has only one stage, which is called deploy. Now what do I need to do in deploy? Okay, so this is where I define what I need to do in deploy stage. Okay, here the main thing is only. What does only do? It will only run this pipeline if there is a commit being done in the main branch. Okay, if you put, so if I show you other repositories that I have, like say let's say PetchKDefi. So I have a different pipeline for dev, which is called deploy dev. I have different pipeline for my production, which is called deploy production. And how do I differentiate it? Using only. This runs only on the master, this runs only on dev. Okay, so this is where it is helpful for differentiating the dev versus the production. Okay, coming back here, what is this image? Okay, so for example, what I need to do in this particular script defines what image I will be using. Okay, now if I go back to my this example, here I have identified my image, like I have put in the image over here, but I can always put it here as well. What does image do is whatever you are running in your script, before script or in the script or after the script, those commands need to exist. Now if you are asking GitLab to run something, how will it know which command to use? So for example, here we have yarn command. Now GitLab does not know what is yarn command unless and until we tell him that, okay, use this image. Okay, image is a word which tells GitLab that, okay, this, like, I think most of you must have used Docker. So in Docker we use images, right? So we also define that, okay, this particular images of Node, this particular images of Postgres, this particular images of, let's say, AWS CLI. Okay, so this is how GitLab knows that which image it needs to run this commands in. Okay, so here what we have done is, here I have specified that use the node image. So inside node image, it has the yarn command, it has other different commands which is used for node deployment. Okay, so here if I do not specify image, it will not know what is a yarn command. Okay, so this is where image plays an important role. So what I have done over here is, I've used an image called Alpine. Why Alpine? Because Alpine gives me a platform wherein I can install my um, uh, executables. So, for example, I need OpenSSH over here. So, how can I use OpenSSH? I need to install this OpenSSH, but where will I install OpenSSH? So, I'll tell GitLab that, okay, use this image Alpine, and inside image Alpine, install OpenSSH. Okay, apk add is OpenSSH. Okay, then create this directory, copy this, and then this is entire thing which helps in SSH access. Okay, so until now, is it clear? We'll come to this SSH access again, but until now I think it's clear that we are using the deploy stage and we are using the image. Okay, now comes the main part, like before script, like the script part will come before script afterwards. So in the script part, what we are telling GitLab to do is, like, copy demo.html. Okay, so when this particular command is pushed to GitLab, it has access to all the files that are there in the repository. Okay, guys, can you mute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I tell GitLab to do is copy this file to the server. Okay, and at which location? At the home directory. Okay, so this command tells GitLab copy demo.html at the home directory, and second command says SSH to the server and just copy that demo.html from the home directory to the engines directory. That's it. That's the only two things that are being done over here. Okay, now what is before script? Before script is something like, how do GitLab know which server to access, right? So what we do is we tell GitLab that, okay, this is the SSH key. Okay, I am providing you an SSH key. How this is configured, will come to that. Okay, but I'll this is the SSH key. Put this SSH key in your uh, this particular folder, so that whenever I try to access my remote server using SCP or SSH, I don't need to enter any password, and it will be handled by this IDDSN. Okay, so this is the configuration which we need to do on GitLab so that we can access our remote server. Okay, so this is just a normal script. I'll just make a change to demo. Okay, I made this change, I pushed this, Okay. How to resolve the conflicts? Here it has a resolve manager. I accept both the changes, incoming, outgoing, and then I complete a merge. It will fix the merge. Again, for this file, resolve in merge editor, accept incoming, accept others, and then complete the merge. So now I resolved the conflicts, I committed, and now I do git push. Now what happens at GitLab? So you go here, go to the pipelines. Oh, not here. Okay. So this particular pipeline just ran right now. What it did, I'll show you. Now you see each stage that we show, like that we use in our file, the gitlab-ci file, each stage will be shown over here like this in stages. So if we have deploy, build, and then test, it will show us 3 different tick marks over here. And each, if one stage fails, it will not move on to another stage. So all the stages need to pass in order for one GitLab pipeline to succeed. Okay, so let's go here and see what it does. So now it's using something called a runner. So I'll explain runner in some other session, but okay, so it'll use this runner, and after using this runner, it's trying to fetch all the changes that we had committed in that repo. So it brought down all those changes. Okay, then it will try to run the command that we had added. What did we add? We added here no cache install OpenSSH. Okay, so installed OpenSSH inside that image of Alpine that we had asked him to do. Then it created this keys to access the remote server. Okay, and then this executed these 2 commands that we had written over here. Okay, deploying to remote server, copy here and copy this. Okay, now let's see if our changes worked. Yes, it worked. So this is the simplest pipeline that we can create to like pipelines are so easy. Like people come to me with lots of questions that how can I create a pipeline? It's so difficult. I need to create, like they keep on procrastinating for so many days, like okay, I need to create, but they just don't start it. Like if you just start, it's so simple to access and create a pipeline, and so many things we have developed already in Enovate that it's just copy paste now. Okay, there is one more thing that I wanted to show you guys. uh, the we currently whenever there is a repository, people tend to keep the .env file inside the repository. So this is not a good practice. What we should be doing is keep your .env file as a variable over here. Okay, I'll tell you what is a variable. So what I did is whenever we are deploying something, or whenever a pipeline runs on GitLab, these are the variables that we can define at the GitLab level. And these variables are accessible only to the maintainers and the owners of the repository. It's not accessible to the developers or reporters. Okay, so only the maintainers have access. So here I have put in my SSH key over here. Okay, I have put in the host over here. So where exactly I need to deploy my code. Okay, so I have put up the key, and this is the remote server. And these two things, it should not be there in the .env file over here. It should always be kept over here. Whenever we are deploying, whatever name that we have given to these variables, we can use directly in our deployment here. So now the SSH key that I mentioned over here as a variable, I can directly use in my gitlab-ci file. And when this executes on GitLab, it will understand that, okay, I need to use the SSH key. This is the variable name, and it will identify that, okay, I picked up the SSH key from here. And where do I need to deploy? I need to deploy on the user host. It will pick up this particular server. So how is it defined here? I've defined it over here like this. Okay, now if you have two different deployments, like SSH user host for dev, another host for production, so here you can just change the variable name to user host underscore dev, user host underscore dev, and it will pick up that name. Okay, so I think I tried to be a little fast, and I tried to finish this as soon as I can, but this is the simplest deployment or GitLab pipeline that we can create. And we can always, there are lots and lots of other things that we can do in a pipeline. So I've put up a link over here in my links section. Okay, how exactly CI, how to start with it, how can you take it forward. So all those links are present over here, and then you can proceed ahead from here. Okay, so I think I'm done with my session. I hope you guys understood. If not, you can just view the video again, or you can come to my desk anytime for any explanation that you want. Okay,
Yeah. Thank you, Ronak.
welcome. Any
Anyone
questions?
have questions?
Ronak, so we didn't cover the runners, but is using a Docker image completely necessary? Like, for example, we simply have one, a server which always uses, let's say, Node version 20. So can we directly do the building without using a Docker image for CI/CD?
Okay, so I'll tell you what a runner is now. So here, GitLab provides us default runners, but we have limited time available on these runners. So instead, what we do is we create our own runners. So runner is just a place where our code can run. So whatever we have defined over here, it needs to run somewhere, right? So where will it run? It will run on the runner. Okay, so when we have defined our system, okay, it will identify. So we tell GitLab that, okay, see, I have created one runner. You can use that runner for my deployments. And then GitLab will use that runner. And then when we identify, like when we say that, okay, use this particular Alpine image, it will execute that. Runners are of different types. So runners can be direct SSH commands, or it can be Docker commands. So whatever runners that we are using at Enovate are mostly on the Docker level. So when I say that use image Alpine, it will execute this image on the Docker, and then use this image for executing our scripts.
But basically, we do have to use image. Like it's a compulsory requirement, right?
Yeah, because how would GitLab know where to find these commands? If you don't use image, it will give you an error that I do not know what is APK add, right? If you use image called, let's say, Ubuntu server, right? It won't identify APK. It needs to use apt get, right? So image
Yeah.
is important.
Oh, okay, got it. And so, second question is a little bit lighthearted.
Mhm.
How can us people train? Because my Amazon free tier has already expired. So can we get a server to test?
How can you guys
How can we guys practice CI/CD?
practice? Oh, तो practice के लिए तो बहुत सारी चीजें available है. Okay, so if you want servers, we Enovate also has servers. If you want to practice out, if you need any, so if, AWS, if you can create your own account, AWS is free for the first year. You can create your own account directly on AWS and start using it. And it need not be that it's only a AWS server. There are lots of, like Heroku also provides a free server. There are lots and lots of different servers available across the internet. So you can use anything available there.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else, guys? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, there.
Okay. Thank you, Ronak.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Ronak.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.